Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 7th Annual Wild Wisconsin Winter Web Conference. I am Jean Anderson, and I am moderating the Small and Mighty track. Assisting me today is Leah Langby with the IFLIS Library System in Eau Claire, and we are so glad to have you here. Our presenter for this session is Chelsea Price with the Meservey Public Library in Iowa, and she will be discussing big programs, little budget. So Chelsea, one other thing before I turn it over to Chelsea, if you have questions, please use the questions panel to submit them. We will save them up at the end for the end of the program. So Chelsea, whenever you are ready, go ahead.
Okay, hi everybody. As she said, my name is Chelsea Price. I have been the director of the Meservey Library in Iowa. It'll actually be 4 years in March, but I guess you could say that libraries are kind of in my blood. My mom was library director in my hometown for about 15 years, so I worked with her throughout high school, and my grandma was a school library director for like 40 years. She actually just retired at age 80. So I've been around libraries all my life. I feel very comfortable in this position. When I started in March of 2015, the library had been without a director for about 6 months. And so maybe they were a little desperate, but I had to find my footing very quickly. I didn't get any formal training. I was just kind of thrown into the position and had to kind of figure my own way. But I did, and I have grown to love this. I am not a one-person library. I do have a library assistant, even though we're super small. But she does the day-to-day, but as you know, if you are a small library as well, you're often not just a library director. You're also a program director. You're a youth and teen director. You're an outreach librarian. You're an accountant. Sometimes you have to do your own IT. You are often a janitor or sometimes even a babysitter. So you wear many hats when you work in a small library, and that's one of the things that I have grown to love about this job. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about Meservey before we get into the program. We have a population of fewer than 250 people. So yes, very tiny. We're about 1.5 square miles, our whole town. Very rural, lots of farmers. Our nearest school in our district is about 20 minutes away. We used to have a school across the street, and that closed in the 80s. So we haven't had a school here for years. There aren't many young families in town. We don't have a grocery store or any real sources of entertainment nearby. We don't have a gas station. We don't have a community center. We don't even have a bank anymore. We've got a church. We've got a post office. We have a bar, and we have my library. So the library has had to kind of serve as the hub of the community. And I have found that we are the only source of free entertainment. We're the only source of free Wi-Fi in town. We're the town's only meeting space. So it's very important to me to offer free entertainment to our town. The 20% of Meservey lives in poverty. So again, that's why it's so important to me to keep things free. We are open only 20 hours per week, and we're just one giant room. We don't have a separate meeting space. We don't have separate rooms for a children's area, just one big room. As I said before, we're a 2-person staff. I have a very small budget, as you can probably imagine. I'm going to share with you our budget, including materials and salary, is $26,000 a year. So as you can probably imagine, I really have to use my imagination and get creative when it comes to programming. Prior to last year, we actually hadn't received an increase from the city since the year 2000. So prices have, changed since the year 2000. Luckily, I did get an increase last year. You'll hear a little bit more about that later. So because of my small budget, we can't afford to hire pricey performers. We don't have a friends group or anything, so we really kind of depend on grants and donations for our larger programs. Despite the budget restraints, we have managed to more than triple our program attendance numbers in the past 3 years. That's not to say all of my programs are successful. They're definitely not. I've had everywhere from 0 people to about 350 people. So it really varies. And I think in small towns like this, our programming and our events are just as important, maybe even a little more important as the materials we offer to the community. And I have been able to pull off some of my best programs thanks to the generosity and the support of my community. They've been really great at partnering with me to kind of help alleviate some of the cost. So I wanted to get into the budget-friendly program ideas. These are just programs I've had that don't necessarily partner with the community. These are just really cheap, easy programs I've had that went well. The Harry Potter party. This was a teen party, and I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd, so to be honest with you, I kind of just wanted to do it for myself. So I did a Harry Potter party for like tweens and teens, and basically I just made this photo booth out of cardboard. It made for some pretty cute pictures for Facebook. I had been collecting chopsticks from Chinese food restaurants for a couple of months, and I cleaned them off, and the kids used a hot glue gun to make like little designs with the glue, and then we painted them like different shades of brown and gold, and they made some pretty convincing Harry Potter wands. And then we watched the movie. It was right about the time that the first Fantastic Beasts movie came out, so they watched that. And then we made slime with some stuff I already had, glue, contact solution, stuff like that. And we called it potions class. And so the only thing I really had to spend money on, I bought the Birdie Bots Every Flavor beans. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you'll know they're those jelly beans that can taste like grass and dirt and vomit. And so they had a lot of fun doing like little jelly bean taste tests. I think you can get a 6-pack of those on Amazon for about $10.50. So that's all it really cost me, and it was a really successful program for a teen program. My Rap and Yap party came about a couple years ago because I was getting tired of wrapping Christmas gifts alone in my house in front of the TV. And I thought, hey, this would be more fun to do with a group of people. So I turned it into an adult program. Basically, everybody kind of brought paper, ribbons, and gift tags to share and brought their own gifts to wrap. We served coffee and some light refreshments, and we played Christmas music. And we just kind of sat around, wrapped gifts, and talked. And it's been a lot of fun. I think we've averaged about 15 adults each time over the years, which for us, that's very good for an adult program. And it's really easy and simple to do. The rock painting program, I'm sure you guys have heard of. It's hiding rocks around town for people to like stumble across and then post them on Facebook. So basically, this was a family program. I contacted some farmers in town who had big rocks from picking them up in the fields and stuff. So they gave me a whole bunch of rocks, and I already had the paint. I just had families come paint the rocks, and then we went on a walk to hide them around town. And it was just kind of fun getting to find those colorful rocks all around town. And we kept some to decorate the outside of the library with. Just easy and free. Giant board games, that's another thing. There's tons of ideas on Pinterest. We've done giant Jenga and giant memory. The memory game is just poster board and printed out pictures. And the Jenga, I just collected some 12-pack soda boxes and wrapped them in paper. And the kids really loved it, and it was super easy and free. And I know I've seen like giant kerplunk. I've seen giant hungry hippos, and those are just really easy and fun, and they're always a hit with the kids. Some programs will fail, and that's okay. So these are all programs that I tried to hold that did not work out for me. So the one I want to talk about here is the puppy party. So as you can probably tell from my the little profile picture, I have a great love for dogs. I'm obsessed with dogs, and so I always watch the Puppy Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday. I don't care about football. I want to watch that Puppy Bowl on Animal Planet. And I thought to myself, well, if I like the Puppy Bowl, then surely other people around here do too. So I decided to have a kids program on Super Bowl Sunday. And I got all these cute decorations. I got dog bowls for the snacks, and I got little treats that look like dog kibble and dog treats and stuff. And I had a really cute craft. I was so excited. And I turned the Puppy Bowl on. We had it live streamed on our smart TV, and nobody showed up, not one person. My husband was there. He was the only one. And I was so disappointed because I was so excited for this program. And I guess there's this thing called pre-gaming that people do before the Super Bowl that I didn't take into consideration. And so basically, my husband and I just kind of made a joke out of it. We went through the program ourselves basically, and we ate those snacks and we did the craft, and we took silly pictures of each other and then posted them on Facebook later, saying like, at least somebody had fun at our program. And our Facebook friends really got a kick out of it. And I think it's important to not take things too seriously. Yeah, everybody has programs that don't work out. And so it was just kind of fun to just make light of the situation. And if you want to learn from my mistakes, don't have a program on Super Bowl Sunday. And I think it's important to keep track of why you think programs didn't work. I keep them in an Excel spreadsheet. I keep track of my programs, how many people attended. If it was bad, I say why I think it was bad. You can see the teacher one, that just was not, that was not good timing. The teachers were very busy that time of year, and it was just not a good time. And then the Donuts with Dad, Munchkins with Mom, that was not well advertised. I usually post in the newspaper. I didn't for that one. And so yeah, there are often many reasons that your programs will fail, and it's rarely because nobody's interested, whether it's timing, whether it's weather issues, or Super Bowl Sunday. There's often reasons other than people not being interested. So this part is going to be about my community partnerships for programs that worked really well for me. So a police officer or fire chief visit are always very popular with kids, especially when they bring their vehicles. They get to, see the fire hose, they get to see the sirens and the lights, and the kids always love that. And that's easy and cheap or free. A therapy dog visit, we do, I am actually a pet sitter. And so one of my clients has a couple of Shelties that are certified therapy dogs, and they're also, they do agility. And so she has come to do a visit, and the kids will take turns reading to the dogs. And then she took us through some of their agility coursework and their nose work. And it was a lot of fun. And again, that was free. I have a really close relationship with our local Humane Society, and we have had adoption events at our library. We also have had some kids like learning classes about, we've had someone come and educate about puppy mills. We've had this lady here talks about her work. She's the executive director of the Humane Society. She talks about how important it is to rescue. And it's just, we've also made cat toys and a cat castle out of cardboard and then donated them to the local Humane Society. The kids just and anytime you have an animal that they can be hands-on with, it's always good with the kids. Santa photos. We have done this the past couple of years, and last year I just took the photos with Santa myself. I made my backdrop and everything. But this year we actually had a new photographer that was new to the area and wanted to get the word out about her business. So she actually volunteered to come and take the photos of the kids with Santa herself. And that was really great because it didn't cost us anything and it got the word out about her photography business. We actually borrowed the Santa suit from the fire department, happened to have one. And I kind of bullied my husband into being Santa. So again, that was totally free. The only thing I really bought was the snacks. I did, instead of making gingerbread houses, which can be kind of messy and difficult for the younger kids, I bought the cone-shaped, the triangle-shaped ice cream cones and turned them upside down and made them into Christmas trees. And the kids frosted them and put different candies on them. And I found it was a lot easier and more convenient than making gingerbread houses. And the parents loved the Santa photos. They loved having the professional photographer there, and some people even brought in their dogs to take photos with Santa. Last year we did a floral pumpkin workshop. I have a local florist that has been very generous with the library, so she actually donated everything. I offered to write her a check, she wouldn't let me. And so this was an adult program. Basically, she just brought a bunch of mini pumpkins and we hollowed them out and put little glass candle votives in the middle. And then she stuffed them with floral foam and helped us arrange our little flowers in there. And then there were cute decorations like glitter and spiders and skulls and stuff. And I think they turned out really good. And that was one of our most successful adult programs that we've had. So the only thing the library paid for was coffee and some light snacks. And I think we're going to work with her next year for Christmas. She also does wreaths. So we're going to do some Christmas wreaths. Joint library concert. This was for last summer's summer reading program when it was the library's rock theme. So I really wanted to have a concert. I had heard Macaroni Soup out of Chicago was a really great little kids duo. And they had some really great songs and they're interactive and stuff. So the problem was that Meservey does not have the room to have a concert. There's no way it would have worked. But the library about 5 minutes from us in my hometown, they do have space for a concert. So I contacted her, asked if she might be interested in doing a joint concert, and she was. So this was really nice because not only do we have lots of space, but we also split the cost. So we got double the amount of kids we normally would have, and it was half price for each of us. So that really worked well. I think it's important to remember that even though sometimes we think that our surrounding libraries might be kind of our competition, like, oh, why are those kids going to their Easter egg hunt instead of mine? You know what I mean? But I think it's important to think of them as your allies and try to partner up with them to do bigger and better programs. The back to school program is something we do every year. We get I think it's usually a $250 donation from our local bank to purchase backpacks and school supplies. And then those are given away. We kind of do a drawing and give them away for families who otherwise might not have been able to afford to buy new school supplies for their kids that year. And so we buy those and give those away. And then our local Casey's donates 3 large pizzas. And they just come in, eat some pizza. I think we have watched a movie in the past, and then decorate like the 10-cent notebooks with like washi tape and stickers and markers. And we made bookmarks one year, and it's just it's cheap for the library because of Casey's and because of the bank. They've been so generous with us. But it's been a really nice program for us to have every year, and the kids look forward to it. We've had some Zumba instructor visits, some yoga instructor visits, and these are all, again, for free. And my mother-in-law is actually a yoga instructor, so she's done some kids yoga classes. Those are always really easy. We have a pretty close partnership with a local nature center. They come and they'll accept donations, but they don't ask for a program fee or anything. And they do a really good job at educational programs. This one, I believe she was teaching them about pollution, water pollution, and they always bring hands-on activities. They always bring a lot of visuals. Sometimes they even bring animals with them. So they are always a hit with the kids. Let's see. The the baked potato bar fundraiser, we tried for the first time last year. We had it in that kind of that dead zone where it's between January and April, where everybody's kind of depressed because it's so crappy outside and they just need something to do. So I partnered up with our local bar. She actually donated these giant potatoes and the foil wrappers. She donated them to us, and she also donated the cheese for toppings and I believe the ham for toppings. So the library went out and purchased, I think we bought lemonade and coffee to make. And then I bought some broccoli and some onions and some sour cream and some other toppings. But then basically my board members each baked 2 pans of bars or cookies. And then everybody kind of helped bake the potatoes. They all brought their own crock pots. So it was kind of a group effort, but it ended up being super successful. I think we raised about $850 for this was to be raised for our carnival, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But $850 for our library for a fundraiser is almost unheard of. So that is a hit, and we'll be having it again at the end of February. This is a painting program we had for kids. So I'm sure you've all heard of the wine and painting programs for adults. I had someone who does those contact me and ask me if I would want to partner with her to do one for kids. And I was like, of course. So it was a sign-up program. I think we limited it at 20 children, and it filled up very quickly. We borrowed tarps to put out, and those were tables we already had. The girl brought all of her paint and canvases, and I just reimbursed her for the supplies, which I think was about $50, but that's all I had to pay her. She taught it for free, and the kids really enjoyed it. This was a winter one, and you can see the snowman is kind of like posed in a seductive pose. So you can see that girl has written, "Paint me like one of your French girls," which I had to include because I thought it was so funny. Yeah, but the kids really liked it. So this is one of my biggest programs that I've ever had. And I don't know, you might have heard of the author Elizabeth Berg. She's really great. I've been obsessed with her writing since high school. And she was actually the keynote speaker at this past year's ARSL conference in Springfield. So basically, I have been following her Facebook page since high school, and I saw that she was doing a Midwest library tour, but she wasn't doing any libraries in Iowa. I think the closest was Rochester, Minnesota. And it looked like her schedule was already finalized. So I decided to reach out to her for, a future library tour. And I just kind of told her a little bit about our little library. And I said, if you're ever in Iowa, we would love for you to come make a visit. And this was when I was at work. And about 2 minutes later, no joke, the phone rang at the library. And it was Bill, who is Elizabeth's publicist. And he goes, "This is Elizabeth Berg's publicist." And I was like, "No, it's not." And it was. And he said, "Would you like to be our last visit on our library tour?" I was just sitting down to finalize the schedule when I got your email. And I said, "Yes, we would for sure. But I want you to make sure Elizabeth knows I'm not joking about our library being tiny. We're 250 people." So I figured, she wouldn't want to come to a library this size, but he said, "Oh no, those are her favorite libraries. Are the little ones, the small towns." So the only thing that Elizabeth asked, she didn't charge anything. The only thing she asked was that we partner with a local humane society to have a dog or two for adoption, which I was very happy to do. She asked for things to eat from like she asked for baked goods for people to eat, and she asked for beautiful flowers. So I was able to partner with that same local florist that did the pumpkin workshop. She made some beautiful arrangements. Um, and I had read somewhere that Elizabeth Berg loves corsages, so she made her a corsage, which she later gave. That adorable photo is of my niece giving her a hug because Elizabeth gave her her corsage before she left. I thought that was so cute. And then I just kind of put the word out for local bakeries that if they donated some baked goods to this event, that I would put out some business cards of theirs. I have no problem doing that. And I had tons of people want to donate baked goods to the event. So the only thing I had to purchase was napkins, plates, and something to drink. And the Humane Society brought 2 dogs for adoption. And yeah, it was the best, I think, the best adult event I've ever had. Elizabeth was really great, and she signed books at the end and gave the speech about her history with writing. And I advertised so much for this event. I actually sent the flyer out to all of the libraries in my North Central district in Iowa, and they were happy to advertise for me. So I had about 80 attendees, which, as you can imagine, our library was packed. It could not have fit one more person. So I was very happy with that turnout. And so the lesson you can take from this is just never be afraid to ask. I never would have thought that an author this big would want to come to my library, but she did. Never be afraid to ask because you don't know what could happen. And we got awesome feedback. The only thing is now that I've had Elizabeth Berg at my library, I'm kind of like, that was my peak, now there's nowhere to go but down because I had my favorite author here. But it was really great. And I'm not going to say we're friends, but we talk sometimes on Facebook, and she remembered my name at the ARSL conference. So I'm just going to go ahead and say we're friends now. This is our other big event. So last summer, or it was winter of 2016, I had someone from the fire department come to me, and we have an annual fireworks day. It's usually the Saturday before the 4th of July. And the fire department does the fireworks, and they do like a supper. And then we have a church that does a breakfast, but there's a long gap of time in between there where there's just nothing for people to do. So someone from the fire department came to the library to ask me if I would want to do something in that gap of time. And I think she was expecting me to do like a story time or a craft for the kids. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I said, oh, I want to do a carnival, which I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But basically, we've had this for the last 2 years, and it is a lot of work. My advice before you even start planning an event like this is that you have a lot of help. Ask for help. I had my board members and my family members to help me, but when it came to the planning aspect of it, it was all me. I was making all the phone calls. I was sending the emails. I was, figuring out what would be where. So I suggest you have a little more help than I did. So basically, it was very important to me to have this event be free, because if it was not free, I knew we would have families who would not attend if they had to pay for it. So everything was free. The only thing I did was my brother made this cute little elephant, and I just put, this elephant wants money. So they would drop coins and bills down its trunk. The kids got a kick out of that. And then I put just a donation bucket by the food. And that's all I did. And the first year we did it, we had, let's see, I think we had about 300 people, which is, that's bigger than our entire town. So that was pretty good. And we raised, again, about $850 with just that elephant and the donation bucket. And then this past summer, we had 350 people, and we raised about $1,300. So that's telling me that our town really needed an event like this. And fortunately, but also kind of unfortunately for me, because it's so much work, this has kind of become the library's signature event. So this is something we're going to be doing every year, and hopefully it'll just continue to go up in attendance and in donations. So a little bit about how we paid for it. We rented inflatables, and I think we had about 4 pieces, and I just asked, we don't have a lot of money. Is there anything you can do for me in terms of a discount? And he gave it to me for almost half price. So I only had to pay about $850 for the inflatables, which was a bargain. So just don't be afraid to ask for discounts. I had a free petting zoo with goats and donkeys and even a giant tortoise. And that was just a local farm that wanted to help out. They didn't charge me anything. I had donated hot dogs from a local business. They donated 300 hot dogs, did not ask a penny, just because I asked. And then again, the local bar donated the soda and the chips. I rented a snow cone machine for $30. And there was a donut truck that volunteered to come out to sell donuts. And that was a big hit, even though people had to pay for it. It wasn't free, but it was free for the library. My brother built a lot of carnival games. We had a ring toss. We had a lot of carnival games. We had a plinko, we had a skee ball. He built this really cute little photo booth stand that you see here. And then he also built a water balloon slingshot, which the kids got a lot. They loved it. And last summer was extremely hot, so they appreciated that. I had our school district's dance team volunteered to do face paint and temporary tattoos. And for prizes, I did give away some prizes, which I just collected throughout the year. If I saw a really good deal, I would just pick it up. And we give away one larger prize. One year it was a drone, and one year it was I think it was a Kindle. And that I just pick up usually on Black Friday when it's a really good deal, or Cyber Monday. And I also had a council member volunteer to rent and drive a barrel train for the kids, like pulled by a tractor. So the kids loved that. So the only thing that the library really had to pay for was the inflatables, which was the priciest, the insurance, which was the second priciest. The insurance was quite expensive because of the petting zoo and the barrel train. That's what really jacked it up. Prizes, we paid for the hot dog buns and the hot dog boats. And then I bought some other small things like temporary tattoos and the snow cone syrup. And with the bank donation, we received a donation from our local bank that usually also donates for the school backpacks. They donated around $750. And then with the fundraiser from the baked potato bar, which raised about $850, we were almost pretty much covered. And then with the funds raised at the carnival, we're able to pay mostly for next year's carnival. So it's really worked out quite well, and I've never received such positive feedback on a program. Just remember to ask for discounts and ask for help, because it's very easy to burn out with an event like this. Very easy. Let's just say I spent a couple of nights in a hotel by myself after this because I needed a break and I needed to go to the spa. So basically, how I always try to think of programs is brainstorm the people you know who might have a unique skill or talent. For example, my husband works in IT, and he has done not only all of our updates on our computers and stuff for free, he has also done some classes like senior citizens. A lot of the time they want help using their smartphones or their tablets. He has done little classes for them and hasn't charged the library anything. I am friends with a local girl who is a beautician, and she has done some manicure, like a nail art class. Think outside the box. Would your local veterinarian want to come in and do a program? Do you have a local genealogist expert that wants to come in and do like a family tree event? And also look for those who might have something to gain by coming to your library. For example, a small business that wants to get the word out about their company, or a photographer, like I said before, who wants to get more clients. Those are most often the ones who will give you the best deal or even come for free. Something we're doing soon, we're doing a women's self-defense class at the end of the month, and that's going to be free. Because we're partnering up with a local women's group. I also contacted a Hy-Vee dietitian. I didn't realize that they did this, but the Hy-Vee dietitians do classes and presentations, and she's doing a Valentine's Day cooking class in a couple of weeks. So we'll find out how that goes. And don't forget that kids are often very happy to help too. I remember when I worked summer reading with my mom, we had the high school shop class they built these little wooden cars, and then they donated them to the library, and we had the kids paint them during summer reading, and they didn't charge us anything, so don't forget about those high school kids. 3 things I found that can make your programs are having visuals or hands-on. If there's animals, families will always show up for animals. Make it free and have free food. I found the only way that I can really get teens into the door is if I have free food. We've got a rolling sign that I put in the middle of the sidewalk that says free food inside, and they show up for that. Always send thank you notes to presenters, especially if they've charged nothing. Don't forget to send a thank you. And I always like the Lime Creek Nature Center, who has partnered with us for free multiple times. With my thank you cards, I usually send a donation, or if it's someone who's presented with us multiple times for free, I'll send them a little gift card. Just gets them to, want to come back. Advertising on a budget, I found that video content is often it gets the most people hooked. Video. I've done book talk videos, unboxing videos. For some reason, that's a really big thing with kids. So we just got a big grant for the children's area, and I've been filming unboxing videos whenever we get in a shipment of new toys or new books. I do unboxing videos. I don't know. I guess that's a thing. This picture is from a Thanksgiving video. Basically, I just did a slideshow set to music of I'm thankful for libraries because, and then I had them write in. Of course, those kids always they have free Wi-Fi, but whatever gets them in the door. Ask local businesses to help you advertise. I always post in our local post office, the fire department, and at the local bar. We can post flyers. I've made magnets and I've made coasters. You can make those for pretty cheap on Vistaprint. And then digital photo frames at circulation desk. I don't know why people are more likely to pay attention to a video screen rather than a flyer, but for some reason they do. It gets their attention. So we've done it on our smart TV as well. You can get digital photo frames for about $30 on Amazon, and just keep it at your circulation desk and have it do a rotating slideshow of photos and program advertising. And people pay more attention to it than they do flyers hung in the door. So embedded librarianship, I'm going to go pretty quick because I only have about 10 minutes left. Embedded librarianship, So basically, when I first started, I wanted to find out where is my community, find out and then go there, make friends with the owner, if it's a business, just really kind of form relationships with the people in your town. If your town is anything like Meservey, your patrons are probably where mine are, which is at the local bar. So yeah, I've made friends with the owner, I've established trust with them, and that's turned out to be a really great partnership, as I've said before. Join clubs and committees if there are some, promote other local libraries, businesses, and events. I've read somewhere that you're supposed to do only 30% on your Facebook page. You're only supposed to do 30% advertising for your library and your events. And then the other 70% is supposed to be either advertising for other things in your town or engagement posts like, oh, what are you reading today? Or what's your favorite book? Things like that. Let's see here. Develop a relationship with your local newspaper. I think we forget that a lot of people who might come into the library are not on Facebook. They don't have social media. And so you want to be in the paper as pretty often as well. People just don't have Facebook. And a lot of times I found when I forget to post in the paper, I don't get as much attendance. Get out of the library. I think it's easy to just stay in your comfort zone, in your little bubble where you're comfortable in the library. But I think it's so important to get out into your community and do some outreach. Before I started at the library, there had never been any outreach done at all. And now I've made a habit of visiting our schools. I have gone to some summer events in our school district. We have a local apple orchard or pumpkin patch, and I have done some story times there to help get kids in the library. And don't forget about things like daycares, nursing homes, farmers markets. There's so many things that you could do. And I think it's important to always be positive because you are always being watched by someone if you're in a small town like mine. Even when you're off, when in a small town, you have to be on because someone is watching. And if your town's anything like mine, they love to gossip. So you want them to be gossiping about you only in a good way. Outreach, I talked about those opportunities. Build a positive relationship with the school staff, teachers, their librarian, especially the secretary. I found if you have an in with the secretary, you can really open up that door for lots of partnerships with the school. There's a lot of opportunity for future programming there, so you definitely want to get in the schools. Even if you don't have a lot of time, just a half hour every month at the school will make a difference. And it's important to have fun. Don't be afraid to make a fool of yourself when you're doing outreach. I've done it. I was very uncomfortable at first, singing and dancing and just being goofy. But the kids love it, and it makes people want to visit your library in person. This is from a story time. These photos I did in the classroom. And that, again, is my poor husband in a Santa suit. The kids loved having Santa visit the classrooms. They loved it. We did a story time, and then Santa came in and handed out candy canes. And although there was one little boy who said to my husband, "That's not a real beard." And so they might have had him figured out, but they still had a good time with it. City Council, let's see. I think I'm right about the 5-minute mark, so I'm going to rush through this. Always go to your City Council meetings. Even if you think it's not important and it doesn't involve the library, you need to go. It's just the best way to know what is going on in your town and get to know the council members. Personally, invite your council members to programs and events, make them feel important, and always keep your interactions with them positive. And when you're asking for an increase in funding, don't think about statistics. A lot of times people hear a bunch of numbers and they get overwhelmed. Think about stories rather than statistics. Like tell them about the boy who used to stutter, and then he started your Reading with Rover program where he reads to the dogs, and he stopped stuttering. Think about stories because I think I've got a quote later that people will, let's see, I think I have it. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So when you're asking for an increase from city council or asking for donations from local businesses, try to make them feel something. Try to tug at their heartstrings, even when you're applying for grants. Make it a little bit personal, you know what I mean? Let's see, getting donations and grants. Don't rule out local businesses. Casey's, I have had luck with getting donations. Fairway, Aldi, Hy-Vee, Walmart. These are all businesses that I've had luck getting donations from. And make sure to recognize your donors. Send out Christmas cards or have a donor appreciation event just to say thank you to the people who've made large donations to you. And I do think it's important to try and reach everyone because a lot of people who have the ability to donate actually aren't library users at all. And so I think it's important to get out there and don't be afraid to ask for donations. And then some just general money saving tips. Look for prizes at Dollar Tree, Goodwill, Target, Dollar Spot, and garage sales, especially Legos. Legos are super expensive, and you can find them at garage sales if you look. I have replaced a lot of my summer reading prizes with experience prizes instead. A lot of people, parents don't love when their kids bring home like those cheap little plastic toys you can get on like Oriental Trading. We've done some experience prizes. We've done a movie night. You can invite 2 of your friends to have a movie night at the library and pick whatever movie you want to watch, and we'll pop popcorn. That's been a really popular prize. Also consider if you are have as tight of a budget as I do, you have a tough time paying for magazine subscriptions. I've found a few survey sites where you can take quick surveys and earn points to get magazine subscriptions. Recycle Bank is one of them that I use pretty often. Reward Survey. And those can help you get free magazine subscriptions. Don't forget about other small libraries. And another way we've gotten free advertising, our city lets us send out a small flyer for future upcoming programs and events with our water bills. So that's nice because they go out to everyone in the city. And our church bulletin, I get to email my update to the pastor every week, and they type it up in their church bulletin. So that's really nice as well. And I think a lot of libraries do overlook passive programming because it's not as, flashy as regular programming, but I think it's great marketing. It makes for great Facebook posts. And it can count in your programming numbers. So don't leave out passive programming. We've just done some interactive book displays. This one was a Valentine's Day. What do you love about your library? And then we put those hearts up on a bulletin board, and those always make for some really great photos and stuff. And these are just some resources that I have had a lot of luck with in getting good ideas for programs, money-saving ideas, some blogs, some webinars, a book. And I'm actually blogging for Programming Librarian once a month. So you can also kind of check in with Programming Librarian with the ALA and see my post there. And then if you have any questions, there's my email address. Feel free to email me asking for resources or anything like that. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you, Chelsea. That was great. Oh, so much information. I did have one, which is great. I had one question. You kind of went fast over that outreach slide.
Yes.
Could you go back up to that? It was before the quote, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I went right over that because I wanted to get to the quote. Okay. This one?
I think so. I think that was the one. If not, Karen will let me know. In the meantime, I'll ask you the questions.
Okay. I went past that one.
I think this is the one you went past, yes. So we've got a number of questions. So the first one is, Jamie was curious if you have people pre-register for programs or if they just show up.
With programs like the painting program, those are always sign up. But other than that, we just show up. And I've had, like, I don't have people sign up for summer reading. It just has never worked. You know, people will sign up and then not come, or people will show up that aren't signed up and then I have to deal with that. So we just don't do sign-ups. I usually just kind of wing it. You know, I overbuy stuff and then I return it if I need to return it. And then if I have too many people, I just kind of wing it.
Okay. The next question was from Patty, and she asks, what program do you use to make your signs, your flyers? They look very nice, and are they easy to make?
Thank you. Yes, I use Canva. It's really, really easy. It's so easy. And you can make some really good ones. And they have layouts, so you can get some ideas from there too.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll put a link to that in the chat, Leah, if you could do that. The next question, I think Leah answered this one in the chat, was one of your pumpkin things, the mini pumpkins. And you had mentioned the votive holders, but you didn't have candles in there. It was just you were using the votive holder with, okay. Yes, because she was wondering how they didn't catch on fire. So we both misheard you.
Just the holders to hold the floral foam.
Got it. Okay. And then Karen asks, how do you limit? Do you limit the program for families who might not otherwise be able to purchase school supplies? So for like that, I think that was the backpack program that she's talking about.
No, we open it to everyone. And to be honest with you, we kind of rig the drawing because my library, we know everybody in town. We know where people live, and we kind of have an idea of which families could use it. So it might not be the fairest of drawings, but they end up going out to the families who need it, and that's what I think is important. So
excellent. Thank you. About your potato bar fundraiser. Sarah said that they have a potato bar fundraiser coming up in April, and she said it's easy and fun to do. And I had never heard of it, so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Suzanne asks, what did you charge for the potato bar per person?
We did not charge. I have found that if you have a free will donation bucket and just have a sign, if you just have a sign that says free will donation, give what you can, people often give more than they would if there was a set ticket price. That's what I found anyway.
Okay. Excellent. And then, I think you answered the question about insurance. She was asking about the insurance for the inflatables.
The inflatables were covered under their own insurance. So we just had to do the petting zoo and the barrel train insurance.
Okay. Got it. This question is from Candy. She says, is there a danger of being so good at finding free/discounted help with programming that your city will decide that you don't need a budget increase or will even decrease your budget?
I hope not. I haven't run into that because with the success I've had doing these free or cheap programs, I've been having even more programs just in number. So we haven't really been spending less because I've been having more and more programs because more people are interested. So I think this makes the city council even more supportive of the library.
That's great. And I hope that continues. You said you got an increase this year, right? You just got an increase?
Last year, yes. That's another thing I forgot to mention is that when you're asking for an increase, you can make an infographic pretty easily. I think I made it on Canva as well, that has a lot of graphs and things that are pleasing to the eye. And the council members really seem to appreciate that so that they can see, how much we've increased without having to read a bunch of numbers.
Mm-hmm. Candy says, how do you do so much with so few hours? You must be doing a lot of volunteer hours for the library.
We're open 20 hours a week. So yes, I do the most when the library is closed. So basically, I am allowed to get paid for only up to 20 hours a week. That's all that's in our budget. So my library assistant takes most of the open hours, to be honest with you. I am there for one full day and one half day, but other than that, I'm there when we're closed or I'm working from home, so that I can be doing things like paperwork, reorganizing the books, stuff like that. I get a lot more work done when the library is closed. But yes,
okay.
yes, I would say I probably put in more volunteer hours than I should.
I think that's yes. I think we all tend to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's good that you're able to maximize your time. That you can work it so that you're doing a lot of this work while you're getting paid, but not while the library's open.
Right.
So that is great. Let me just see if I missed any. Let's see. Oh, Karen asks, is your presentation representative of 1 year or is this over many years?
This is over the 4 years that I've been there. So
okay, so it's a whole, yes, okay. And then Carla says your program ideas are really helpful. We are a one-room library also in a village of 1,300 people. How do you keep up with your county library system with everything else that you do? Do you have county library systems?
No, we don't do that in Iowa.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you do a lot of collaboration with the people you said in your library district. How does that?
I just have the one library that I've worked with before that's only about 5 minutes away.
Okay.
Other than that, we'll do interlibrary loans and stuff like that, but we really aren't in a whole lot of contact with other libraries.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know how Iowa works as well with libraries. So if there are any other questions, we have just a couple minutes left. And Chelsea, if you want, you can go back to your end of your slides if you like, so your contact information is up there. And for those of you who are asking, the slides and the recording will be available by tomorrow up on the Wild Wisconsin Winter web conference. Okay. Let's see. Lynette says about donations, instead of charging, people give more. I haven't charged fines for years. I have she has it in quotes, guilt pig on the desk that says, feed me. Get rid of the nagging, guilty feeling when returning items late. We get way more that way than charging people, $5 and $10 on it. So
that is great. I stopped. Before I got there, we charged fines as well, and I stopped. We don't charge fines at all. Sometimes people give, because they feel bad, but we don't charge fines because people will just stop coming in if they owe something. I have a little machine that's like a dog burying a bone, and you give the dog like coins, and he it's really cute. And so that's what people give when they give like little donations and stuff.
That is great. So thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions come in, and we're just about at 11:30, so we will wrap this up. So thank you so much, Chelsea, for a great session. And as I mentioned, yes, thank you. As I mentioned, the session recording and the slides will be posted on the conference website by tomorrow. And our next session in this track is with Marianne Morey and begins at noon, and we hope to see you there. If not, we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.